Imbibers, a very good evening to all of you. Once again, we are here with another topic from your particular chapter, which is the protection from the weeds. Yes, we have discussed about the irrigation, we have discussed about the manure and fertilizers, we have also discussed about the tools and techniques used for the agriculture practices in detail in the previous session. So children, if you have missed any session, by any chance you couldn't attend any session, you can always go and watch the past Imbibe classes. It will be always there on the Imbibe dashboard. Yes, you can revise it, you can go through the concept again, and one is the most amazing thing that before coming to the session, you can always go for the pre and the post class activity. Pre-class activities is basically helping you, that is what is going to be taught in the class, and the post Imbibe classes and the past Imbibe assignment help you to know whether you have understood the concept or not in detail. Yes, so children, we are going to discuss about that in detail in today's session. We are going to talk about how we can protect our crops from the unwanted plants which is going to hamper their growth and productivity. Before that, let me introduce you to myself. I am Anam, your biology expert for the session 2023 and 2024, and we are going to discuss all the amazing and interesting topics related to biology, just like we have completed so many topics and so many concepts related to your particular chapter. Let's see what we have in today's session. Your chapter, which is crop production and management, we have already completed these topics. We are almost on the end of this particular topic, which is the protection from the weeds. We're going to discuss about harvesting, storage of food grains and food from animals in detail. So children, this is we're going to complete as soon as possible. Next we have the protection. Today's topic is about the protection from the weeds, and the concepts to be covered is the how we can protect from the weeds, how we can physically remove the weeds, how chemically we remove the weeds, how instrument we can be used to remove weeds, and we can also use the weedicide. So everything in today's session will be related to this particular concept only. But before that, let's have a quick recap of what we have studied in the previous session. Yes, the previous session was about the irrigation process. You know, the plant needs lots and lots of water for the growth and development. It's absolutely necessary for them to basically have an access to the water, so that we have irrigation purposes, we have irrigation services, we have irrigation processes to provide the particular plant with the enough amount of water. So children, during monsoon, of course, irrigation is totally dependent on the rains, and in winter the frequency of the irrigation is absolutely low. Irrigation is a supply of water to crops at regular intervals, and plants contain nearly 70% of the water. So children, why the plant need water? That's a basic requirement for the production, for the germination process, because the very first thing, which is the seed germination, happens because of the presence of the water. Otherwise the seed will not germinate. So to have a detailed explanation of everything, irrigation processes, how we provide the particular plant with the water, please go and watch the past Imbibe sessions. Yes, it's already there. You can revise it whenever you want. Let's start today's session talking about the protection of the weeds. Yes, can you see this is what? Approximately 1 hectare of field corn would produce 1.27 million bowls of popcorn. Can you imagine? No, I'm not going to serve you popcorn. This is just a particular introduction what we're going to talk about. That 1 hectare field of corn, approximately 1 hectare field of corn. Yes, before going to the PVR, buying to the popcorn, you know we can actually grow 1.7 millions of bowls of popcorn, which is a lot of money. Yes, now you can go and do the farming. Yes, so children, this is of course you can do, but this is not happening. Why? Because weeds. What are those unwanted growth in the cornfield? Because the growth and development of the corn plant is hampering because of these unwanted plants. Yes, and what are these unwanted plants? कौन से plants हैं जो बिल्कुल unwanted हैं? Yes, so what are those unwanted plants which are going on the weeds, which are what? These are weed. Yes, protection from the weed is one of the most important in the agriculture practices. Yes, let's inspect the cornfield. Let's see what are these particular plants which are growing with the corn, hampering the growth and production of the corn. Let's inspect the cornfield. See, there were only few corn plants, but these were basically growing, hiding between them, hampering the growth and production, because they also obtain the nutrition from the soil. These are what? These are weed. These are the weed plant basically growing together with the corn plant and hampering their growth and production. These are unwanted. These are not needed. These are absolutely unwanted plants. Yes. मेरी कुक मेरे से जब So, what are these unwanted plants? These are unwanted plants which are growing with the corn plants. Yes, which are called weeds. Let's talk about the weeds in detail. We have to remove these weeds. So, children, we need to protect our crops from these weeds, and there are several methods to be applied to remove them, to remove the unwanted plants growing around our crop. So, children, of course, this is also one of the agriculture practices which is very important, removal of the weeds, protection from the weeds. So, talking about the weed, one of the agriculture practices done by the farmers during crop cultivation is to prevent the growth of the field, important to maintain healthy crops. So, children, this is absolutely very important for any farmer to take care that the weed growth is basically minimized. They do not grow around the crop, and the crops which are basically growing should be healthy. So, this is also one of those practices which we have discussed in the previous session. Removal of the weeds, protection from the weeds is another important method, another important characteristic, another important process which is being done as an agriculture practices, so that we can have a healthy crop, we can have a healthy production of the crop. But how it is to be done? What are the method used by the farmers to remove the weeds? Yes, how do we basically remove the weeds only? Yes, let's discuss about those processes. The very first process, talking about, so just a particular introduction or just a particular fun fact, the study of the US and Canada corn and soya production found that $43 billion could be lost annually if the weeds are allowed to grow. Okay, ma'am, what is the problem? There's also plants? No, because they hamper the growth and production of the particular plant, as we basically, if we let them basically grow among our crops, this much amount of loss would be bared by the farmers, by the country. Yes, we will basically lose our particular crop production, good harvest, healthy plants because of this weed. So, removal of weed is absolutely important. Let's discuss how we basically do them. So, children, what are the practice protection in the India? Yes, why we basically need them? Protection of the weed. What is basically why we need them? What according to you is necessity that we need protection from? Yes, protection from weed. What is basically will be the correct answer to this? Why we need basically? Come on, quickly answer. Yes, quickly answer. Yes, the correct answer is why we need protection from it, to maintain healthy crops, to basically, which is done by the during the farmers when they do the cultivation, prevent growth of weeds, one of the agriculture practices. These are the correct answers for this. As we move forward, children, talking about the protection of the weeds, let's connect particularly how would you describe if we basically allow weed to grow. Yes, what happens is we basically allow wheat to grow. What could be lost? The crop would be lost, the income would be lost, everything. Yes, these both are the correct answers. If we allow the wheat to grow with the crops, income and crops both will be lost. We have been facing the loss with, we're not going to have a good harvest, and when we're not going to have a good harvest, we're going to lose it, we're going to bear losses, the farmer is going to bear losses, and the country also will bear the lack of food. Yes. Next, children, how we basically do, how we protect it. Yes. Can you see this? How pretty they are looking. These flowers may look pretty, but basically these are vine strangles and destroy everything in their path. These are might appearing very pretty, but these are basically hampering everything which comes into their path. Yes, because these are certain plants which basically kill the other plants for their growth and development. Yes, as we talk about such plants, children, weeds. Let's have a clear definition why ma'am is talking so much about the weeds. So children, why the weeds are hampering, why we are not allowing them to grow? The reason is because this is what I said. They use the nutrition which is for the crops growth and development for their benefit. Yes, they eat them, they consume them from the soil for their growth, but we don't need them because they're not helping us, they're of no use to us. So why do we let them having all those nutrients which is going to make our particular crop healthy? So why we do them? We remove them physically by just snatching them by the hands. Yes, we just remove them physically, or we cut them, or we basically close to the ground, pulling them out with their roots. Yes, we can have several methods to avoid. The farmers have to practice several methods to avoid the growth of the weeds. We just remove them physically from their roots so that they do not grow again, and we cut them. Yes, we generally cut them also so that they do not grow. Let's talk about how basically been done, the practices needed. So children, if you see, identify the weed plant and pull them by dragging and dropping to the bin. Yes, simple. All these weed plants, these are our crops, nice crops which are growing easily, nice corn crops which are growing, but due to this weed, they are basically going to hamper the protection, they are going to hamper the production of the corn plant. Yes, so we're going to basically remove them by dragging, we're going to remove them by pulling them from their roots so that they do not grow, do not hamper the quality of our crops. Yes. Moving forward, children, talking about how we can remove the certain methods being used by different plants, farmers to remove the weeds. Yes, as you could see, children. So now let's talk about how we basically remove the weed plants. Can you see this? Removal of weeds should be done before they produce flowers or seeds to avoid the production of new weed plant. Yes, we have to remove the weeds, that is for sure. Can you see this? We have removed that through the, we are cutting them, we are just removing physically. Children, but the farmer have to take care. इस बात का ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा कि before these weed plants produce flowers or seeds, इसे remove कर दें, because अगर they will be having seeds and they will be having flowers, they going to grow again. So in their very vegetative stage, we have to remove them. We have to remove them at a very vegetative stage. It is very important to remove them at their vegetative stage. How to remove them? So children, identify the incorrect statement that below present in the box. What according to you is the incorrect statement regarding the wheat? Yes? What according to you is the incorrect statement regarding the wheat? What according to you is the incorrect statement regarding the weed? Yes, the incorrect statement is this: weed plants can cut as high as possible from the ground. No, they can be cut as high as possible. No, we have to basically cut them when they are very small. So children, talking about how we can remove the weed plants. Yes, let's discuss about that. Yes, in detail. So children, as you could see this, these are the particular weed plants which are being grown, and why we are doing, we're just pulling them from their roots. This is how the farmer pulls the particular weed. So how are the crops removed from the soil? How do we remove the crops from the soil? Let's discuss about this. Children, talking about the cows that graze on garlic mustard weed produce garlic flavored milk. The garlic mustard weed can also flavor the wheat crops new growing nearby. So this is what? This is a garlic mustard weed. So if there is a cow grazing nearby this area and she is consuming such weed plants, the leaves of these weed plant, it is definitely going to produce a garlic flavored milk. And on the other hand, if the wheat plant is growing nearby this garlic mustard, which is a weed plant, the wheat is also going to flavor like a garlic. So this is of course one of the major reasons. As we talk about the weeds are typically unwanted plants which is growing to the crop, compete with the crops for the food, water, sunlight and space. They grow naturally along with the crops in the field. These are the few features of the weed. They are unwanted, absolutely true. They consume all those things which is needed for the growth and production of the crop, and basically they compete with the plant. We don't need wheat plants. We're not helping them. We're not selling them. We're not gaining profit from them. So they are still competing with our crops for the food, for the water, for the sunlight, and they grow naturally along with the crops on the field. So children might have seen in your garden also sometimes that your garden also have certain plants which are typically unwanted and you have not planted them. Yes, those are the exactly weed plant which also grow with the farming field. Yes, as we talk more about the weeds, children, as we can see, children, continuous pruning, continuous removal, physical removal, cutting of the around the trees is absolutely important to remove the plants. Yes, to remove the unwanted plants which are growing, which is hampering the plants. So children, what we can do to remove these unwanted plants? We're going to spray the weed called weedicides. What are weedicides? This is a chemical method. This is a chemical use of this particular, and which can be continuously sprayed so that the weeds could not grow with the other crops. So weedicide is a chemical which is on a regular basis sprayed on the crops so the weeds do not grow. This is how we protect our plant from the weeds. Yes, as I grow, you can see this is a sprayer. So what is weedicide? Why I am telling you to spray it? These are the particular characteristics of a weed. It will not damage our crops. It is going to hamper the weed. Yes, it is in the diluted form. One should remember to cover the nose and mouth while spraying. This is a sprayer, and by which we can basically go and spray it all over our farming field. What does it do? It protects our plant. It does not hamper our plants, but it also restricts the weed growth around other plants. And also we have to take care, not we exactly, the farmers have to take care to cover their mouth and of course the nose so that they cannot inhale, because of course this is a chemical. Okay, so children, this are the characteristics of the weed. As we talk about more of the weedicide, children, select the button to spray. How do we spray them? Can you see this? This is how we continuously spray the weed on the crop so that it does not allow the growth of unwanted plants growing near our field. Yes, to stop the growth, this is how we basically just spray it around the all crops. So this is one of the methods used by the farmers to avoid the weed growth, to avoid the growth of unwanted plants near the crops. Yes, let's talk about this. Let's drag and drop the correct option regarding the weed to provide space. What is the correct option regarding the weed? Yes, what is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is they grow naturally along with the crops in the field, unwanted plants which grow along the crops. This is correct. These are the characteristics of the weed. Yes, weed plants. Next we're going to talk about, next we have a question again. Identify and connect the true statement about the chemical method remove weeds to main bubble. What is the chemical method? Right, connect the correct options of the chemical methods. Yes. Yes, the correct answer is it is harmless for the crops, it kills weed, it is used as a diluted solution. Next, barber used several instruments when we give a haircut. Yes, you know, we can also use instruments to remove weed just like a barber used to remove this unwanted hair on your head or on your shave. Yes, to give a good clean look, we can also use such instruments for removing the weed. Yes, we can use certain tools to get rid of the weed if we do not wanted to use harmful chemicals. If I don't want to use chemicals which are weedicide, I am going to use certain tools which can easily remove that weed. What are these tools? Yes, plow. You have heard about it. We generally also use this plow for the preparation of the soil. Yes. So children, the plow combs the soil, remove the weeds for uprooting system, turns the soil upside down. A good mixing of the soil, evenly distributing the nutrients from the lower soil and the upper soil, and also removing the weeds from their roots. So plow is a particular instrument. It is a tool which is basically used by the farmers as an agriculture practices to remove the weed. Yes, what is the another tool can be used? So we can basically also tap the stick by clicking on move the cow to start the plow. Yes, this is how the plowing is done. Can you see this? Removal of the weeds is also done, and this is how the cow is also removing the continuously. It was dragging the plow and mixing the soil for the growth and development of the crop before we basically sow them, and also removing the weed. Yes, talking about this is hoe. Hoe is also used for removal of the weeds. You can see this. This is how the hoe is being used to remove the weeds. This is another tool for removal of the weeds or physical method, made of wood, broad and bent as an iron plate at the end. It can be pulled by cows or can be used manually. It helps in removing. Yes, we generally use it manually only. We use plow through the cows, but we use hoe through the hands only. So this is how the hoe works, by removing the weeds, unwanted plants from the field. So this is also one of the tools used to remove the weeds from the field. Yes, as we move forward, the cultivator. So children, there's another method we can use to remove the weed is a cultivator. Yes, what is cultivator? Similar to plowing, about not to use animals. It uses machine like a tractor. It helps in removing weeds. Along with the tilling the soil, it saves labor and time. So yes, can you see this? Children, this is how we can also use the tractor. It also does not require animal. Yes, we can basically use for tilling also and for also the removal of the weed. So cultivator is another method of removal of weed from the soil. Yes, we can also remove the soil through the cultivator. Next we have, yes, click on the petrol, so can be poured into the cultivator and gets it moving. Yes, simple. This is how the cultivator moves. As you can see, removing the weed, also helping in the tilling process. So this is also one of those methods, tools, plow, hoe, cultivator, all these things can be used for the preparation of the soil also, and for the removal of the weed also. Next is a question for you. What are the instruments used by the cow and connect them to image of the cow? Yes. Which tool can be used by connecting to the cow? Yes. Which tool can be used for connecting with the cow? Yes. We can use this hoe and we can also use this plow. Majorly we are going to use the plow only. Next. When do we use cultivator? Identify the correct options. Yes. Why we use cultivator? Why you not using animals? What is the reason of using the cultivators? What are the reason of using cultivators? Yes. Anyone? What are the reasons of using cultivators? To save labor and time. Yes, why we using cultivators? To save labor and time, and also helping cows and basically protecting the animals also. Next. So children, this is how they're spraying weedicide. This is how we also spray weedicide to protect. This is also a method, a chemical that controls growth of weeds, kill the weeds but not crops. This is also a method we can basically spray the weedicide. Yes. Weedicide can cause skin irritation, affects the respiratory nervous system. A body coat, a face mask is absolutely necessary. Why it is necessary? To cover your mouth and of course your nose when we are spraying the weedicide, because it is a kind of a chemical which might irritate your respiratory system. So basically the covering of the nose and mouth is going to help from protecting any kind of a allergy. Yes. Yes, how the steps basically to spray the weedicide? Wear a body coat, face mask, put the weedicide in the sprayer, add water to dilute, shake and mix it and spray it on the weed. So this are the steps. This is how we basically use the weedicide. Can you see this? We are going to just cover. Yes, put a mask on your face, cover yourself with another cloth, take the container, put the weed inside it, add particular water, dilute it, and it is ready for the spraying. Yes, shake it and you can easily spray it on the field. So this is other steps this is how we basically create a weedicide and it is ready to spray on the plant. It is not going to hamper our growth of the crop, but it is going to hamper the growth of the unwanted plants. Next question. Why do we basically spray out the facts that do not describe weedicide by connecting them to the spray bottle? Which of the following characteristic is not of a weedicide? Yes. Which of the following characteristic is not of a weedicide? Which of the characteristics is not of a weedicide? Yes. Simple. Come on, quickly answer all of you. Just now we have discussed so much. Now you can answer. Come on, quickly answer this. So click on the attire which we will use while basically using the weedicide. What attire should we wear before spraying the weedicide? Yes. What is the correct type of cloth needs to be wear because we basically spray the weedicide? Yes. These. The coat which is basically going to cover our and this is for the covering of the face and the mouth. Absolutely true. So children, this brings us to the end of our particular session, which is the protection from the weedicide. What we have discussed, what are weeds? These are the unwanted plants which grow together with the other crops, hamper the growth and development of our crops, which is needed to be removed at a very vegetative stage. So they do not have flowers, do not produce seeds which can eventually again grow. We can just remove them physically through using the hoe, plow and a cultivator, but we can also remove them by the chemical method by using the weedicide. Yes, and we can also cut them and basically drag them or pull them through the hands also. So we can use several methods to use and protect our crops from the weed, because this is going to basically cause a lot of loss to the farmers and to our particular country also. Yes, so children, before you go, what is our next? The next topic would be about the how different methods are being used for the irrigation purposes. Next, children, you know this is your Embibe app. You can log in through your phone number and your email ID as we going to click school examination CBSE. Go for the 8th CBSE, select your language, land on this page, and as you click on the home page button, you can go and Embibe live classes. This is me right now taking your class, and these are the upcoming classes for the next 7 days. You can always register yourself for the upcoming classes. Next, we're going to discuss about the harvesting process. You have to just register yourself, check out the pre-class activity, and after the class session over, you can go for check for the post-class activities. You can learn, practice, test, and you can always see how much you have achieved through this learning. Next, we have Embibe Lens app. You can just go and download it, scan the text, it will highlight every keyword and will help you in a visual learning process, and you can join us on the Telegram channel so you never miss an update. We will meet again with the another topic from your particular topic, which is with a chapter which is crop improvement and production. Until then, keep imbibing. Take care. Bye bye.
Keep imbibing. We believe in you.